The weather has been pretty awesome over these past couple months. We've managed to get out to the shoals a fair few times and got in a lot of dives. I have some insane footage to show you. The first thing we always do when we get out there is jump usually in the middle of the shoal and just check out which way the current's going. Once you get that sorted, you know where to start your drift. And here I am dropping the flasher. It's pretty much just a few bits of metal and a little squid looking thing on the bottom. They just flash with the waves and they can attract a lot of fish. Also sharks. Funny enough, in this case, we lost this exact flasher because a tiger shark hit it, which you'll see in the video later. Eventually a nice spano came into the way of the flasher and I managed to line it up between the two fins mid-body and got a perfect shot into it. And that thing absolutely took off. Just watching all this line peeling made me really regret shooting it because I know the nest that I'll have to sort out later. In the second I apply tension on the reel, it just ends up dragging me under. So here I'm clipping on my belt reel and just have that as a backup. When I hit the surface, I see Josh throwing gang signs at me, but he's just asking if I want a second shot in it. I have to admit, it is the best feeling getting dragged around by a big Mackie, but it doesn't help that I got a terrible shot into this thing. When I pull it up, you'll see that my shots just completely missed the spine and it's sitting right near the top fin, which is why it's going so hard. Once I realised that I stuffed up my shot pretty badly, I asked my mate Josh just to put a second spear into it, just to make sure that I land this fish. As you can see, my perfect shot is holding like a treat. That is literally all that it is, a tiny bit of line through that top skin, and that just popped out the second I tugged it. I then grabbed the Insta360 cam and jumped in the water and then tried to film a bit of the reef. Not too much ground here, but it's pretty epic. Those little bombies, you find heaps of trout on them and heaps of jacks. And the best part is they're only 15 meters deep, so anyone can dive it. If you're looking straight down from the top, you don't see the fish because they sort of blend into the reef, so sometimes it really does take you to get down there, sit on the bottom and have a good scan around. That's when you'll see those shadows sitting on top of the reef. This dive was empty. We threw a bit of burley into the water because this generally attracts jobfish, which is one of the more prized fish around this area that everyone loves to shoot. They fight hard and they taste amazing. So here I got a nice one down below, but I take the shot, hit it, and it just rips off. I was heartbroken.
That's a nice jobfish. It was a good shot in the head, but the ripped out.
Brendan ended up getting onto a pretty nice jobfish, so I went down, sussed out the shot, and decided to put a second one into it just to make sure that we secured this fish.
That was a Hail Mary shot.
Next thing I know, Henry is onto another jobfish, so everyone is landing them but me. But some days it is what it is. Two of us jumped back in the boat to finish the drift, and then we seen a big fin behind my mate Josh, who was still in the water. It ended up being a really big tiger shark. So I jumped in with a bit of Mackie burley, hoping to get some footage of this thing, and it was incredible. Even though I had a bit of Mackie frame in my hand, it didn't care about me. It just wanted to have a crack at Josh, and here he pokes it on the nose with his gun. It is so epic to find these things in the wild and be able to swim with them like this. They are just amazing creatures, and they just have no fear. It is a dream of mine just to hold onto the dorsal fin of one of these. I just managed to nick its tail at the very end, and that just made my day. I was so happy. We stayed in the water a little bit longer filming it, and towards the end it started to change its behaviour. It really made us know that we are not the top of the food chain when we're in its territory. After that little flinch, we decided it's probably only going to get worse from here, so we all jumped out the water. We still had the flasher in the water, and my mate Henry was reeling in the flasher, and he had a big tug on the line as I was pulling it up. And it got slack for a bit, and then it just had another big thump and just ripped the flasher out of his hand. Then we see the orange float on top just hit the surface, and it just went straight under, and we did not see that thing again. Went over to another shoal and found myself another nice mackerel. This time I actually managed a perfect shot onto it. Absolutely stoned. Then I looked down below, and what do I see? A really nice jobfish. Of course. Couple drops later, we're more hunting over the reef, trying to look for some trout or maybe a jack if we're lucky, and came across this really nice ray just cruising along the bottom. Found a patch of reef that has some pretty cool ledges and overhangs. These things are typically where you find mangrove jack. There were none hanging around here, and sadly in this 15-20 metre range it's only the real small ones that we come across, but heaps of husser, which is a good sign, and that. So that I believe was a tawny shark just cruising over the top of me. Definitely wasn't expecting that, and gave me a little fright. Once again, I'm on the bottom at this next ledge, and at the bottom you can see all the shadows sitting on top, and what catches my eye is that nice lovely trout sitting there. Managed to put a shot into him eventually, and it just went straight through that coral, and I was so upset. The current was pounding pretty hard through there at the time, which makes diving to retrieve that very difficult. After swimming into the current and trying to hold myself in the same spot, I relaxed as much as I could, dropped down, and then tried to untangle this mess. The spear stuck on the coral on both ends, the trout's ripped down, and the line is wrapped around coral, so however you try to move that, it was just getting jammed in every direction. Yeah, I couldn't make it up in one dive, so I had to go back down and go for round 2. Once that mess was sorted, I ended up going on another spot and back with the 360 cam. You can see those little lines above me, they are spanos. This day I already had the bag limit of 2 per boat. We couldn't take any more of them. Here I'm just looking on the ground, and I find myself another nice trout. Have a look at that, and put a good shot into it. Straight into the reef once again. And those spanos just cruising all on top of me. Here I'm trying to swim sideways, hoping just to pull it out of the cave, but kicking like a retard apparently doesn't pull him out of the reef. Here I cruise back up, and then I go back down for a second dive and sort him out. When you got a struggling fish inside of a ledge, it's always a good idea to turn your head every now and then, just to have a look, make sure there's no creatures behind you. We've had a fair few scares now of them just sort of creeping up out of nowhere. Always something to be mindful of. And of course, there we have one. Luckily, he was too late to the show. A while back, I was sounding around and found this epic bommy. On the sand it sits about 33 meters and it comes up to I think 24, 22 when you're directly on top of it. It is riddled with fish, loaded with trout, and there's heaps of small jacks around. I didn't do a dive all the way to the bottom, but it would be epic to see what's actually hiding under that cave. Here, shot a nice trout and boom, reef. This one actually managed to somehow snap my line and I lost the spear and the fish. I just recently got a monofin, so I thought I would try that out on this spot since it's a little bit deeper. Man, these things are fun, but since I'm not used to it, once I hit free fall, I start going sideways, lose my balance and don't know what's going on. It's not always about spearfishing, sometimes just freediving these things is incredible. It's an art in itself. Here we got an eagle ray with a little remora chilling under him. They're fairly common around here and they are an awesome sight.
There's a baby tiger! That's cool.
We continued burling and then we see a nice trout just from the surface. Jake dives down. That fish just flicked as he pulled the trigger and managed to get a spear stuck in the reef. Here the current was ripping pretty hard, so I pulled out his shaft. As I start to look around me, I just noticed that this spot was filled with spanos. They probably would have been that 15 kilo range. We set the drift back up and the second we jumped in, we seen a nice trout from the surface. So Jake went down for redemption and nailed it. Some interesting technique I found is that you can strum the rubbers of your guitar. You hear that thump noise? That gets the mackies pretty curious and most of the time they end up coming straight in. It was interesting because right where my shot was, the mackie changes colour, so the back half is dark and the front half, he has lost all of his colour. If anyone knows why they do that, please let me know. That is one thing I cannot explain.
Do you want an underwater video? Oh yeah, righto. Should be right. Yeah, that's nice.
At this point the mackies were just teasing us. I believe this was the second day of the trip and as we're burling up they were just coming right in, point blank. This one here would have been around that 18 kilo range maybe. It was a nice size. Between these couple days, we also managed to get a few nice red throats.
Yeah. I was gonna say, do you want to park up on the pressure point? Because you're drifting like on the other side.
I almost,
Fucking
I
oath.
almost got that red throat.
I managed to do a drift myself when it was my time, and I found a nice red throat as well. Took a long shot on it, aimed for mid-body, and well, I did not hit it where I wanted to. As you can see, another perfect shot. Well done, Dion.